Hello guys, I'm Meenu. Welcome back to my channel Storytale. Today we are going to be talking about The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This book was published in 2020 and since then this has been one of the most popular books. Anyone who have ever read it has been singing praises about this book and I can understand why. This is gonna be a spoiler free review. I'm not gonna give any spoilers. At least I'm gonna try to. I'm gonna try to give, at least no spoiler, because talking about this book is a spoiler itself because the synopsis of this book does not reveal much. So I'm not so sure how much I'm gonna be able to keep it from you. That is why this video is not gonna be that long, because I do not wanna talk too much about this book so that I do not spoil it for you guys. Just like the name suggests, this book is about a story of a midnight library. The midnight library is basically this mid section between life and death. When somebody dies, they have to pass through this library in order to fully move on with the death or pass on to another life. So everyone who has ever died has to pass through this library, and this library is kind of unique because you do get a chance to actually see what are the regrets that you had throughout your life, or what are the choices that you could have made that made a different choice for your life, or took you to a different path, or had a different career or different life altogether. So every book kind of represents that choices, and that is the basic plot of this book. The main theme of this book is mental issue, depression, suicide. If those things are triggering for you, I'm not gonna ask you to pick up this book, even though I think you should read it once, at least give it a try, because I'm pretty sure it's gonna make you feel good. I'm not gonna lie, when I read the synopsis of the book, I kind of had something different in my mind than I actually got. I was not expecting to be about suicide. This story is about Nora Seed, who kind of committed suicide because she was very depressed from her life. She had nowhere to go, she had no friends, no families, anything. That is not a spoiler. You get to see that in the first chapter of this book. So that is not a spoiler for you. We get to see this book from her point of view, the journey that she goes through from being someone who was so lonely and who was so depressed, who took her own life, to someone becoming a something new. She get to live so many lives throughout this book, throughout this library. Every book she chooses has a kind of a different choice that she could have made, that could have taken her life to some place else. We get to see many of her lives, and I think that was the most interesting thing about this book. The best thing about this book is this is not too long, because if this book had been a very long book, this would have been a little bit boring. I understand not many people actually like self-help kind of books. Even I'm not someone who likes to read motivational books. I was like very much bored with The Alchemist, and I have not tried any motivating or self-help books from then. I do not understand that. That is kind of very difficult for me to read or go through. But this book kind of felt like a breeze to me. It did not feel that heavy, or it did not feel very boring to me. I kind of enjoyed this book. This was not a dull book for me. I loved how all the issues regarding the mental health has been addressed in this book. They have been handled very well. From the first page of the book, you get thrown into Nora Seed's life. What was that went wrong for her? What was the things that was not working for her? Even though she was giving these chances to people to kind of stop her from committing this suicide, or for something to go right so that she does not commit that act, but we see everything fail and her giving up, and that is the saddest part of this book. But after that, she gets to live so many lives where she made so many different choices. We see all her choices come into life, how different her life would have been. So every story, every aspect, every life that she lives is kind of interesting, and I was really into it. There are elements of magic in this book, but that is not the main focus point of this book, which I absolutely loved. This book talks only about mental health and all the choices and the regrets that we have in this life, and that is the major focus here, and I totally agree with that. There are not too many characters in this book. We get this from the point of view of Nora Seed only. All the other characters were kind of present there, but they do not get anything of their own story. All the story that we get is how their lives are affecting Nora Seed's life. This book totally focuses on Nora, her journey, her life, her choices, her regrets, and I think that is the best part of this book. Like I said, I cannot delve more into this book without giving major spoilers. That is why I love talking about books with spoilers, because I get to talk more, I get to delve into much deeper. I love all the explanation. I love to talk about spoilers, especially the major things that happen, and I cannot talk about that in this review because this book is one of the new ones. I majorly talk about spoilers with the books that have been published like years ago or something, or maybe some of the most popular books. This book is fairly new, so I wanted to give a spoiler free review so that you can check out for yourself what is so good about this book. Now let's talk about what I liked and disliked about this book. The first thing that I liked about this book is the beginning. I mean, the first line gets you into the story. You realize what are the stakes are, what's gonna happen. I mean, it does, delves you straight to the point. So that is what I loved about this book. I was intrigued from the first line, and it kind of kept me hooked till the end of this book. The second thing that I like about this book is how it handles suicide and mental illness. It was handled very well. There were so many things that we do not talk about: depression and loneliness and expectations and everything about career, love life, and how all of these things affects us. That is something that has been handled very well. This is my first Matt Haig book. I've never read his work before, and from this book I'm kind of impressed. I'm not so sure I'm gonna pick other books because, like I said, I do not read many self-help or motivational kind of books. If something good comes along the way, just like how this book was popular and how it kind of caught my attention, if something like that comes in the future, I may pick it up. But his past books I'm not so sure about. If you have any recommendation of his books which you think is gonna blow my mind or something that is gonna intrigue me and interest me, do mention in the comments down below. I would love to see your input. The third thing that I liked is the lesson that I learned from this book. This book actually tells you how to appreciate life, how even everyday life can be so precious. Whatever the choices or regrets you have in life, everything is worth it. Your life is worth it. Just give it a try. Just try a little harder, and maybe not everything is gonna go according to your plan, but everything happens for a reason. Yes, there are gonna be difficult times in life. Yes, things are gonna be very much hard, but we have to be strong and we have to keep our calm and just try and hope that everything will get better. I get that lesson from this book, and I really admire it for that. Now let's talk about the things that I did not agree with. First is, even though this book is new to me, it handles mental illness well and everything, still this is not a new trope. Many books have been written on mental health and how life has more meaning to it and everything, so that is not something new. Even the lives that Nora live eventually have that kind of trope that kind of horror movies have, or movies with science fiction has. I have seen movies where these things have happened and it kind of goes the same way, and that is why the ending is also very predictable. Second thing that I did not like about this book are certain life of Nora Seed. There are many lives that she lives. Some of them are very interesting. I was really intrigued by them, and some of them were very boring. Like some of the lives, like when she was a rock star, or when she goes to this place of I do not know, Alaska or something, or maybe Canada, I do not remember the name. I did not like that story too. There was another same person as Nora, and I did not like that storyline too. So there are certain lives that were very boring and kind of dragged out, and I did not like it. And the third and the last thing was the predictable ending. The moment Nora Seed enters this library and she gets to live all of these lives, she gets to make all of these choices that takes her into a different path. I kind of knew how the story is gonna end. That is kind of obvious because we have seen that in so many books, so many movies, and that is kind of predictable. Though I wish it had a little bit different ending, but I still see the point why that ending was necessary, because that serves the main purpose of this book. The main purpose of this book is to find hope in the hopelessness, to see life from a different point of view, to realize self-worth and everything. So that is the main focus of this book. That is why even though ending was predictable, still this book works on its own. For me, this was a 4-star read. I cannot give it 5-star reads for all the faults that it has. But anyway, I really enjoyed reading this book, and I think you should give it a try too, because it can help a little bit. Even though not help, it can inspire you a little bit. So I want you to pick it up and see for yourself what I find good in this book. And if you like this video, do not forget to hit subscribe and click that bell icon if you want to get notified of my future videos. Until we meet again, see you.